monthly talk series. Our today's talk is titled Advancing Indian Epigraphy, Insights from the Bengaluru Inscriptions 3D Digital Conservation Project, and will be delivered by P L Udayakumar, who is spearheading this whole project. The Bengaluru Inscriptions 3D Digital Conservation Project is a pioneering project of its kind. It's multidisciplinary in nature and is a systemic effort to basically study, document and conserve both physically and digitally over 1500 stone inscriptions found in and around Bengaluru. Using the latest cutting edge technology like 3D digitalization, computer rendering, IT applications, data science, etc. This project is working on several initiatives at several different levels. One of their earliest initiatives is called Revisiting History or Heritage, and they have made the startling discovery that nearly 20% of existing inscriptions need to be revisited, either for a reread or a complete reinterpretation. Another initiative of theirs is basically finding hitherto unknown aspects of heritage and history. Towards this end, they have documented more than 100 unrecorded inscriptions, discovered more than 1,000 hero stones, and nearly 150 ancient temples. Another initiative of theirs is tracing the evolution of the Kannada script from 5th century CE. Today's talk will be delivered by P L Udayakumar, who is the Honorary Director of this project, which is being conducted under the umbrella of the Mythic Society, Bengaluru. Udayakumar will be giving us an overall perspective about the whole project and what are the areas in which they are focusing, and will also give us an understanding about how this project is enabling the study of Indian inscriptions as a whole to gain a new perspective. Before we move on to the main program, let me give you a brief introduction about Tamil Heritage Trust, which is our organization. Tamil Paramparya Arakattalai or Tamil Heritage Trust is a non-profit organization started almost 14 years back by a group of like-minded volunteers. The main motto was to understand, appreciate, disseminate and celebrate information related to Indian history and heritage, not just for the academically minded and scholarly, but for the enthusiastic average public as well. Towards this end, THT conducts programs throughout the year. Our main thrust or focus is on talks and seminars. Amongst these are the monthly heritage talks, and as I already mentioned, we are in the midst of the October 2024 edition. This is an online talk in English conducted on the first Saturday of every month. Right now, we have a pan-Indian and a little bit of international audience as well for this program. Another event that we have is called the Oratory Concert or Pechu Kacheri, and it is conducted in Chennai in December to coincide and collaborate with the Margazhi Isai Kacheris of Chennai. We have a curated topic and 8 to 10 speakers analyze this topic from various aspects and talk about it. Usually this program is conducted in Tamil and is meant for to have a local reference. Another program that we have is called the Indology Festival. This is more scholarly and erudite in nature and conducted in the month of June every year. Once again, we curate a topic and we have 10 to 12 scholars, subject experts and researchers delivering in-depth talks about various aspects of this topic. This year, our Indology Festival was called A Century of Harappan Civilization, and it was conducted in the month of June. At THT, we also conduct various workshops and classroom sessions where anybody can join and participate. We have one-day workshops called How to See a Temple, How to See a Museum, etc. These are conducted in 2 sessions. In the forenoon session, we have a series of lectures, and in the afternoon, the participants are taken to the site where we practically elucidate what was discussed earlier. Then on and off, we have classroom sessions on topics like Grantham script, ancient Indian astronomy, ancient Indian mathematics, etc. Then another program that we have is called the Alamar Avai, which focuses on the school teachers of Tamil Nadu. Over a series of weekend lectures, Various aspects of Indian history and heritage are discussed with the teachers, the idea being that they carry it back to their students, thus spreading awareness. Another program that we have is called the Docent Training Program, and we are right now in the midst of the second session of this. This is basically a training to prepare docents to present historical sites and heritage monuments in a professional manner. And it involves both theoretical sessions and practical site visits. Another program that we have is called the Site Seminar. This is largely an in-house activity meant for our own self-education and enhancement. Once again, we zero in on a particular site anywhere in India. And for 3 to 4 months, our volunteers study various aspects of this site, and we have extensive in-house seminars. Then, armed with all this knowledge, we visit the particular site and experience it in its totality. We also try to come back and do some amount of documentation. From the Tamil Heritage Trust, we've also instituted 2 awards to basically commemorate individual contributions in the field of history, heritage, and epigraphy. The first such award is called THT Professor Swaminathan Heritage Award and is named after our co-founder. This is given for individual contribution in the fields of history and heritage. Right now, we are in the process of scrutinizing the submissions for this year, and the award will be presented along with the winner's talk in the last week of this month in Chennai. The second award that we give is called the V. Venkaiah Epigraphy Award and is named after V. Venkaiah, who was the first official epigraphist of India. This award is instituted by Ms. Sunita Madhavan, who is the great-granddaughter of V. Venkaiah, and THT has been entrusted with the responsibility of administering this award. We have a YouTube channel. You can find links to all our past talks and programs here. You may kindly subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to receive notifications of our future events. We have a dedicated website. These are our social media handles. You can, to join our mailing list, you can kindly mail us at this address. As I already mentioned, we are a voluntary organization and we do not have any dedicated financial backing. So any kind of contributions are welcome. You may kindly use this QR code or address to contribute generously. That in a nutshell was about THT. Now moving on to today's program. As I already mentioned, our talk is going to be delivered by Udayakumar, who is the Honorary Director of this project, Bengaluru Inscriptions 3D Digital Conservation, which is being conducted under the umbrella of the Bengaluru Mythic Society. Driven by a deep respect for local heritage, P L Udayakumar's journey began with a personal quest to locate a 13th century inscription mentioning a village in his Bengaluru locality. This ignited a passion to find and preserve the countless inscription stones scattered across Bengaluru. Realizing their vulnerability to urbanization and neglect, Udaya sought a way to create lasting digital records of these historical treasures. A techie by profession with a master's degree in engineering mechanics from IIT Madras, Udaya brings with him extensive experience in the corporate world, having worked with renowned companies like Tata, General Electric, and Schneider Electric. This background in technology has proven invaluable to his work in the field of heritage conservation. Udaya was recognized as Nama Bengaluru Citizen Individual of the Year 2019 for his work in the area of heritage conservation in Bengaluru. As Honorary Director of the Bengaluru Inscriptions 3D Digital Conservation Project at the Mythic Society, Udaya leads a team of historians and epigraphists who use cutting-edge 3D scanning technology to digitally preserve inscriptions. His work has not only transformed our understanding of Bengaluru's past, but also inspired the city to reconnect with its heritage and introduce cutting-edge interdisciplinary methods and approaches to epigraphy. We only hope such a project can be undertaken across other cities too, especially our own Chennai, which is a treasure trove of inscriptions, most of which are being subjected to neglect and ignorance due to apathy from all ends of society. Now I invite Udayakumar to take over the screen and deliver his lecture. A very warm welcome to you, Udaya.
Thank you, Gauri.
Okay, I'll just stop share.
Okay. So thank you, Gauri, and many thanks to Tamil Heritage Trust for the opportunity. And a very nice introduction. Hope I can live up to the expectation of inspiring Chennai to take up similar projects as well. Okay. So as you introduced, you said I am from the Mythic Society, Bengaluru. I won't dwell too much into it. It's just a word about the society before I jump into today's talk. So the Mythic Society was founded in 1909. Now it's about 114 years old now. A very reputed institution in the field of history, archaeology, folklore, linguistics, and allied fields. Essentially, there are three main activities of the society. We do monthly seminars, workshops, just like Tamil Heritage Trust. We also have an exhaustive, probably one of the best libraries in the field for history, archaeology, folklore, etc. And there are also a few research projects which are funded by Mythic Society. The project I'm going to be talking about today is one of those as well. There's a very extensive talk by our president, V. Nagaraj, when he presented the society to the Royal Asiatic Society London recently. So you will find an exhaustive video about all the activities, the history of the society, and all that. So do look up that video. It's on the Royal Asiatic Society YouTube channel for learning about the Mythic Society. Okay. So for an audience like this today, I'm kind of expecting a mixed audience. So I will take you through a journey. I'll start with a few stories. A lot of people do definitely know about inscriptions. A lot of people have probably seen some inscriptions when they visit some sites like Tirumala, or Kanchipuram, or Madurai, or some of these places. But just to be very clear what a state of inscriptions are everywhere and how they are perceived by ordinary people, I'd like to tell about 4 stories, all from our experience during this project. So what you're seeing now on the screen, in the middle of the screen, you should be seeing a tall stone standing by itself, surrounded by bushes. There's also a boulder on the left side and all of that. This photograph is from approximately about 11, it's a year back. This was in 29th October. So at a place called Gangadipura, which is near Bangalore University in Bangalore West. This inscription itself is from 1495, and it's a record of the donation of the village to a few Brahmins and renaming it as an Agrahara. A lot of people have definitely heard about when whoever is read with inscriptions would definitely have encountered such inscriptions in many places. But when you go out into the field, reading it on a book is one thing. When you go out into the field in the real world, this is the state of inscriptions. And whatever I'm showing today, almost all of them are Bangalore examples. But this is not a unique story for Bangalore. As Gauri already said, even Chennai, the state is the same. Whichever place in the country you're likely to visit, you are not going to see very much. So every year there, in that vicinity, there is a school, and the school principal is a heritage enthusiast. He's probably watching this program right now as well. He usually picks one such spot, brings his school children over there, cleans it up, and then we do a event on November 1st, which is Kannada Rajyotsava Day. And during that time, we talk about the inscription, about the language, and related things like that. So last year, he chosen this as a place where we would do the activity itself. So we kind of also worked with the Gram Panchayat there. The officials, the local missionary stepped in. And usually cleaning up is not so easy, but here they bought a few excavators, and a lot of people came in there with gumboots. Obviously, it is snake infested and all of that. And in 2 days, the entire place was completely cleaned up. Even the boulders there that you're seeing there were pushed aside. And what happened on the day next was exactly this. So on the left side of the screen, you'll see a banner, and in front of it, the inscription stone now. On the road, you'll see a lot of children. This is the same children who are, his school name is Vishwa Bharati, and they bring the children over, typically middle and high school children over for the event. So when we went there in the morning, essentially the neighborhood itself was a little taken aback because they had no idea what was written on that inscription. And in the morning when we went there, this was a Sunday morning, thankfully, and when we went there, one of the villagers, I like to call them villagers, they're probably not villagers anymore, they're all city dwellers. So one of them asked me, said, what are you making so much of noise about? This place is really a dump of a place. In the city of Bangalore now, and enclosed villages have really not, are low-income places where, it's not the most happening place today. He said, you're bringing in children here, you're kind of throwing so much attention on our area, but this is a dump of a place. What's so special about it? So I said, why don't you wait, hang on, listen to the, we'll be explaining the inscription here to the children around. At that time, you will learn what's so special about it. So as I was explaining there, I explained to him to them what an agrara was. So I told them an agrara was essentially an educational, fully residential educational institution, the likes of the IITs or the IIMs or the IIScs today. There was teaching that was going on there all the time. There were students living in there on campus. There were the teachers who were living on there. In fact, a lot of things were grown on campus as well for self-sufficiency purposes. And I said, look, this is from 1495. And now if you think about it, there is Bangalore University within a kilometer in your vicinity. So Bangalore University is essentially continuing the tradition that was established in your village about 1495, 600 years ago. So you must be, even these days when we make such a big hue and cry about children not being sent to school and literacy and all that, your village can claim to that place of education, which is 600 years old. I think you really ought to be very proud of this place. And that was an eye-opener for them because they had not visualized themselves as anything but another village. They're not thought of themselves as an educational institution at all. And typically, we have these kind of events quite often. And whenever we have an event, I make a plea to usually mothers, young mothers. And then I tell them that, look, in our culture, it's quite common practice to, have a ritual in the, when the child is very young, which we call as the Aksharabhyasa. You hold the child's finger in your hands and then, trace out Om or Shri on sugar or rice or whatever it is. The elder in the house usually does this. And that's considered to be the start of education for a child. I said, please do that in your houses. In addition, do the same ritual on the stone. Get your child over here and have the child run the child's fingers over the place name, Gangadipura or whatever is the place name that's written there. And you're having the child is touching probably the oldest writing in the vicinity. And writing is for us Saraswati personified. I think that's really more symbolic and good way to appreciate education. And I said, I'm sure that the kind of pride the child will have growing up in that place is going to be enormous. It will never ever ask what a man asked me. He told me this morning that my place is a dump. And mothers, like mothers always do, will keep reminding the child forever, as long as the child or the mother is alive, that, where we did your Aksharabhyasam, we did it on the inscription stone as well, in our village and all of that. So continually that reinforcement is going to be there about the place the child comes from as well. Okay. And so I make this plea, and sometimes it does happen here. Very interestingly, as we were finished the event and we are walking out, and you're seeing the photograph on the left side, we saw a young lady holding a child and running the fingers of the child on the stone. Okay, that was so fulfilling that we said, look, that dump of a place that was there, 2 days ago is now suddenly become a place for prayer and to communicate the pride they have in the place amongst the people there. So, the shloka, I'm sure a lot of you will be very familiar with this. That is Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada is what you do, is the shloka that you invoke or you say whenever you start studies and education. So on the right side, and coincidentally, it was also very satisfying that it was a school principal who did that, and that's Mr. Narendra on the right side. And what you're seeing is one of our team members who is also holding a scanner and scanning. I'll explain that to you in a little bit later as well. Now, this is the sense of pride a person from where the inscription is can instill. And that's the kind of effect that inscriptions can have on local people. Generally, the orientation of people, of scholars and professors and teachers and researchers is absolutely different. They are very focused on extracting information from an inscription, reading it, publishing it in a journal, debating it, discussing it, and all that. But the inscription was not put up for some 23rd century historian or epigraphist. It was put up for the people of the place. It's such a tragic scene that the people of the place are ignorant. But when they learn about it, this is what you see play out. And as we were walking out, there are 4 members in our team. I'll introduce them later in a photograph as well. 2 of them are PhDs. One is a master's and one is on the way working for a PhD, all from quite reputed institutes. And all 4 of us were absolutely sure that this child is going to outperform all 4 of us. It is going to go to maybe MIT or Cornell or Stanford or wherever that we haven't been to, and it'll carry the name of Gangadipura with them wherever it goes. Okay. Here's another example. That's not a unique example. So here's another example of an inscription spanning, as you can see, a gutter, a drain. Not a very uncommon sight. If your heart is aching and you feel like, hitting yourself for how the hell did we cause this, I think we should. That drain, by the way, was fully covered with stones like this, stone slabs. The local corporation wanted to clean the drain. They took off those other stones, but when they saw the writing on this, typically there's some amount of superstition or belief or whatever, that's about writings on stones. They did not touch it. They left it there. It stayed there until about 2022. When one of the local people there reached out to us and told, sir, there is this stone, can we do something about it? So we went over there and then we identified it to be an inscription, and then it was shifted to a Kalyani in Chikbanavara. This is also again a locality in Bangalore. Okay, this is a 14th century inscription. Interestingly, the person who is doing it, his name is Dilip Simha. He's from Chikbanavara. He took it upon himself to gather all heritage artifacts from in and around that vicinity. As you can see, Banavara, Banapura is quite an old place. It's probably going back to the 8th or 7th centuries. The name itself gives away the Banas. So what he did was we published a lot of the inscriptions in our quarterly journal of the Mythic Society. Without our knowledge, what he did was he took a printout of the entire article about his set of inscriptions, the Chikbanavara inscriptions, and had a banner put up by the Kalyani there for everyone to read. It's still there out there for anyone who goes and sees. This is an academic article. It's not really intended for ordinary people. I'll translate what's written on that on the top there. It says Puratana Kalyani Matu Nagar Kate Jeernodhara Samiti. So essentially, they're a restoration team for heritage in that locality. Now, look at the pride of these people. It was lying abandoned in a gutter. They brought it into this place. It's so much so that, they printed an academic journal article and now they have it as information display there. How many scholars have done this for articles they have published either in their homes or offices or wherever, I don't know. But this is what plays out when you have a local people understand what's in an inscription. The third example here. Now, this is probably one of Karnataka's most discussed inscriptions ever. This is known as the Jain Sri Vaishnava Dispute Resolution Inscription by King Bukkaraya, because at that time, the Jains of the kingdom, the entire Vijayanagar kingdom, went to the king in Hampi and then told him, look, Jains are being persecuted by Sri Vaishnavas and you need to save us. You need to give us justice. It's one of those early interreligious disputes that went to the highest court in the land. If you have to draw analogies there. And the king essentially passed a judgment. And that judgment was inscribed on the stone in Kalya, because one of the petitioners was from this village called Kalya, which is about 30 kilometers line of sight from Bangalore. Okay. Everybody who's who in the historian epigraphy community in Karnataka and probably other places in India as well have all written about this inscription. It's much debated because the judgment is so carefully worded, cleverly written. It's hard to tell whether it's in favor of the Jains or it's in favor of the Sri Vaishnavas. Because essentially the king is saying, henceforth, I entrust the safety of Sri Vaishnavas to the hands of the Jains. And in lieu of that, the Jains shall pay an X amount, every family, Jain family in the kingdom will pay an X amount of money to the Sri Vaishnavas. And that money by the Sri Vaishnavas will be used by them for the upkeep of basdis in my kingdom. So it's quite a difficult and hard to understand judgment. And the judgment also says this will now be inscribed, written on copper plates and stored in every Sri Vaishnava temple and Jain basti in my kingdom. Must have been thousands of those. Okay. Now, there are none of those thousands of copies is left. We don't even know if it were ever done. But this one stone here with this inscription in Kalia and the other one at Shravanbelagola, a similar copy, but a similar copy with minor differences is there. Now look at the state of this. It's in a field. Amongst the most debated, discussed inscriptions in the state by the best of the best. The likes of Venkaya in the field, in Karnataka have done this. But there's a cow that's tied around that. Usually, occasionally the cow does. Now, when its skin itches, it goes over and then rubs it on the stone there. So when we went there to scan it, typically when we go there, we attract a lot of attention. People come by and ask, who are you, what do you do, and all of that. So similar thing happened, and then the village officials came by. They asked, who are you guys, what are you doing, and all that, and we told them about this. Then the word went over to the executive officer of the taluk, who reached out to us and said, sir, I believe there is something very, very important in this village. What is it? And then when we explained the whole story to him, look, this is one of those, very interesting inscriptions. It's very famous. Everybody's this one, all of that. He said, I've been the executive officer of this taluk and I know the district commissioner here and none of us know about any one of these. How about doing something for this? I said, let's do that. But they were very keen on doing it totally different way from the typical government fashion. They said, we'll raise funds and we'll do Shramadhan or we'll volunteer and we'll develop it. Here's on the screen what they did. As you can see, that field in that place, the farmer was kind enough to give away that space. It's still on his own field, nevertheless. And now you're seeing a beautiful, whatever it is that you can call around that. It's such a beautiful place. There's a display board there, both in Kannada and English, explaining the contents of that. And this was the day of the inauguration last year, on 4th June 2022. So the whole village obviously had gathered, and the district commissioner, the district superintendent, police, all of them showed up there. It was quite an event there. And this is the man who did it as a personal initiative, Pradeep N. Okay, this is not a government done job at all. He, along with his panchayat staff and villagers there, got together and did that. The stone that you see there is essentially native stone in that vicinity. That's called pink granite or pink Magdi stone. It's very popular. And you can see such a beautiful home, that place now worthy of being called as one of the most important inscriptions in Karnataka. No scholar did this, no professor did this, no researcher did this. It's the people when they realized. And that inscription is really intended for the people of Kalia because the petitioner was a person from Kalia. Okay, that's a third example. And just to wind up, and I want to do this one from my own city here, in the heart of the city. This one is an inscription which was discovered in the year 2017. Okay, this was just a little after this, the first time I'd spoken at Tamil Heritage Trust. And at that point, we were trying to raise funds to find a better home for this. As you can see here, there's a hero stone, which is in a ditch, in a fairly busy road. And because it's a ditch, it's not easy to maneuver vehicles there. So people typically park cabs or something around there. And it's also a ditch, so quite convenient for people to spit on. As you can see, there's a betel leaf. Somebody's had pan, chewed betel leaf, and there's a spat on the stone. 7th century, 8th century inscription in honor of a man who died fending off an attack on the town of Hebbal. So the specific word is that they have used there in the inscription is called Ur Alivu. They came to destroy the Ur, the town. So this man gave up his life. He fought with them. He won the battle, but he died in the process. And they put up a memorial stone in his honor. And look at the state in which it is today. It was then open to the public. Dogs urinated on that. All kinds of garbage was around there. So when we realized the importance of this and we raised funds, essentially we raised funds from the public. This is what happened. Now this a Ganga style mantapa, because the 8th century was the Ganga style of architecture. The Gangas were ruling and the architecture of the time is called this Ganga style of architecture. It's actually absolutely traditional. And what you're seeing now is a structure built in the 21st century, in the same architectural style as the Ganga, in largely the same way, jointless and using lime mortar and all of those same things as well. And the man, so at that point in time, I took myself the job of raising funds for crowdfunding this mandapa. And the man on the right, who is unfortunately dead today, his name is Patel Srinivas, is a local of the Hebbal. He took it upon himself to manage the local politics. This is on the road at the same place where the inscription was. So obviously managing local politics is not so easy. He took it upon himself and he said, you go figure out how to get the money and what to raise and all of that. I'll take care of the local people here. There were all kinds of politicians there. There was all kinds of inter-village politics at work there. I keep using village, but this is in the heart of Bangalore as well again. Okay, single-handedly managed it. I did not have to interact with anyone else but him. And his dream was, he said, sir, I want the world to know the name of my place, Hebbal. What a fantastic history it has. And in his lasting memory, I think there is a structure that has come up there. And true to his word now, I will show later how we raise the funds for this as well. Kittaya, the hero's name is Kittaya. Hebbal Kittaya's replicas have traveled across the world, across all the continents, across hundreds of cities. About 1,000 people funded this, including a lot of people from Tamil Heritage Trust. So we're very grateful to you all for having helped us in this effort as well. So now this is a perspective. I've used 4 stories to drive home the point here. Look, inscriptions are different. They are not academic topics. They are topics that people worship literally. If you understand, if the person who are supposed to connect with them hardly know about them, they are in a pathetic state. But when you teach people about what is in there, when you tell them what is over there, this is the magic that happens. Now, I picked this particular example and I say, in the last epigraphy conference at Varanasi, I actually said that even ASI or the government of India has not given as such a grand a home to an Ashokan inscription at Sarnath as we have managed to do it in Bangalore. So this perspective of how to understand history, who to connect with, and how we can celebrate it and what impact it has on its people. Probably there is nothing in our heritage which touches people so closely as inscription stones because they're very local. Now, if a person died for Hebbal, his name was Kittaya, he's going to be the hero for Hebbal citizens. You can name anybody else in the world, but Kittaya will always figure number 1. So if that child is going to be told, my village was an agrar, it became an fully residential educational institution, that child is going to take pride in the place. There is no school. I'm sure one of these days that child will grow up into an adult and build a school there. Magic can happen, and it is factual and accurate magic when it comes to inscriptions. However, it's probably also the most neglected, abandoned heritage artifact that we have available to us today. Okay, where is all that hidden information in journals and books like this? Anyone who has tried to figure out about inscriptions will realize that it's a maze. It's a jigsaw puzzle. There are hundreds of books in which information about inscriptions is scattered. There are about 30, it's supposed to be, and we don't even have a catalog or a number really to say exactly. There's supposed to be about 30,000 to 50,000 inscriptions in Karnataka. And the claim is that there's over 50 to 75,000 or more inscriptions in Tamil Nadu and so on and so forth. We don't even have a number. That's so abundant they are. A large number of these inscriptions have been studied for about 150 years now. And they have been recorded in books like what I'm showing you now, which is called the Epigraphy of Karnataka. Now, this set of books is for the old Mysore region, which is, the Chitradurga downwards on to Kollegal, Chamrajanagar, area, which is about a quarter of Karnataka. So there's 8,500 inscriptions documented in these books. But these are not the only books. In addition to this, we have the Itihas Darpana, we have the Itihas Darshana, we have the the South Indian inscriptions, Epigraphia Indica. There are about 30 journals or books that you have to refer to if you want to gather the information about the area in which we operate, just Bangalore and surroundings. This information is so scattered. Now, no wonder people don't know anything about that. And these are really esoteric books. They are going to be found only in books in libraries like the Mythic Society Library or Roja Muttaya Library in Chennai. All these kind of places where ordinary citizens are not going to go. That mother from Gangadipura probably doesn't even know Mythic Society by name before that day. I bet Patel Srinivas would never even recognize that building of Mythic Society there or Roja Muttaya Library or any of the such libraries there. It's not places they frequent. So the first thing we have done, or one of the things that we have done in our project is essentially this. So we sat down and we scoured these 30-odd books and journals and all of that, and we collated all that information and put it up on a Google map. This is a publicly accessible Google map. You can scan the QR code there, and you'll be able to access this QR map right now, wherever you are. You could be in the USA, you could be in Australia, you could be sitting in India or Bangalore, wherever you are. I'll show you a little bit about this map itself by using the same map that's there. Okay, now this is the map, and this is a Google map. This the view is little different from what you'll probably be seeing. You can scan, you can check it on the on your mobile phones, or you can do it on your desktops or iPads or whatever. So this is the map, and I'll use the same map. Essentially, what you're seeing here is every inscription that has been documented so far in the project area, which is 3 districts: Bengaluru urban, rural, and Ramnagara districts. This is an area of about 6,000 square kilometers. It's a massive area. We call it 3 districts. It's probably bigger than most European countries. Okay, in this 6,000 square kilometer area over the last 120 years, inscriptions have been documented in 30-odd journals and books. Every one of them is now on this map. So essentially what we are doing here is we have color-coded them to indicate the status today. A green heart essentially means that an inscription is still there. It has been documented to have been at a certain place. It still exists there. A red skull means it's only now in a book. If you go to that place, there is no real physical inscription stone. It has been destroyed. How has it been destroyed? Like I showed you there. It was probably lying at the edge of a road during the time they redid. Either they expanded the footpath or they broadened the road or something, they broke it and took it away. It was sitting in a site somewhere, and there was a house or a building that had to come up there. They broke the stones and they used it for construction of the house or building. These are factual stories. We have umpteen number of instances where people narrate to us. When we go looking for it, they tell us, sir, it used to be sitting in this corner of my site. I had to build this one, and it looked pretty big and huge. Nobody knew what it was. We thought it would be good, used to us for as foundation stone. We broke it and used it. We didn't know what it was. Somebody will say we threw it in this lake or that well. So we have all these kind of stories. So a lot of reds, as you can see. In the middle is the city of Bangalore. As I zoom in and you'll see the city of Bangalore. Okay, and there are a few question marks. essentially on this map, meaning that, look, it's documented in a book. We have visited the place. We visited multiple times, but we are not yet certain it has been destroyed. It's maybe sitting in somebody's kitchen or bedroom. Still, we have that hope. 99.9% chance it's gone, but still, no, until we get confirmation it's gone, we usually leave the question mark in place there. The pink, the violets that you're seeing here means we have digital models of those inscriptions. I'll show that in a while, which means all of these have now been digitally secured. That's not all there is to it. If you click on any one of those icons, you will see a window come up. Let me pick one which has more photographs and things like that. Okay. It's essentially telling us, what is written on that inscription stone, along with photographs and all of that. So I'll pick two nice, good examples so that maybe people from Bangalore can actually connect with this better. Okay, this is another inscription at the same place at Hebbal. It says it was documented in the Epigraphy of Karnataka, etc., etc. It's not been dated. If the date was there, we would have given you the date. What is the text of the in Kannada, the inscription in Kannada? If it is in Tamil, you'll find it in Tamil. If it is in, there are also translations of that in this case, we give it in English as well. There's a photograph of the inscription. There'll be videos as well. And there's Kannada, there'll be English text, there'll be, there's sometimes, there's some one or two recent inscriptions, you find English text, we add that as well. Tamil inscriptions will have the same thing in Tamil as well. And you can use this to navigate too. It's a Google map. You can ask for the route and it will give you the route. Okay. So this is the map. And as you can see, what I'm showing you is a private, this one, but let me kind of reel up you probably what you are seeing is this map. This is what you'll be seeing, but as you can see, I was in the admin view there, so I kind of switched the view so you can see some of these things. It has been viewed 5 lakh times as of now, right now, 500,000 times. None of those books have been touched or, I'm sure even the pages, so many pages of those books have not been turned. We have all kinds of people accessing this map. We have historians, obviously, researchers, obviously, we have plumbers, we have tailors, we have auto rickshaw drivers, we have all kinds of people using this. Okay, on the about section, we give our phone numbers and email as well. Occasionally, somebody calls up and says, sir, I went in search of that map in my locality that you said has been destroyed. You are right. I couldn't find it either. It seems to be potentially destroyed as well. So this is the kind of thing that we managed to do there when we put it up on a, on the on a Google map. Now, how easy is it be if anyone who's worked with, now there's 1,500 inscriptions here right now. How easy life would be if we could do this at a scale of India. Oh, by the way, I can do some more magic there. Let me show that to you. It's not a dumb tool like that. I can do smart searches on this. I can say, show me all the lake-related inscriptions. And here you are. It will highlight to me all the inscriptions. I don't know how good it is on this one. You'll see a few of them circled out in white color here. You'll see one circled out. It's essentially lake-related. Maybe it was, there was a lake was built during that time. Maybe it was desilted. Somebody made some donations and an inscription was put up for that. Historic lakes of this place. So easy to find out. In 3 districts around now here. Tell me all the historic places of Bangalore, and here I got this list. Show me all the, let me say, the inscriptions which are to do with, huli beta or tiger hunting. Here you are. I'll circle 4, and then it'll show me. I'll circle and show. You should be showing me 4 or 5 of these. I can say, show me all the 8th century only inscriptions, and it'll show me all of that. So I can do a lot of work here, research and analysis work using the same map as well. Okay. So back to my slides. To the point of about conservation. Okay, what about those? How do historians, how do epigraphists record inscriptions? You may have heard this term called an estampage. What you're seeing here are examples of estampage. This is the old gold standard. It is the old gold standard in my parlance, in my world, but it's still what is being practiced by the Archaeological Survey of India and the Archaeology Department and all the others as well. Okay, now it's a fancy term. It's a French word. It's a fancy term for just a black and white paper imprint of what was written. So on the right side is actually a person is called a technician, a epigraphist from Mysore in the Archaeological Survey of India office, who was training me how to take stamp pages. So the one on the right side is by an expert. The one on the left side is by me. Obviously, that was a horrible stampage of a very bad inscription. As you can see, it's definitely not something easy to read. And as you can see, this is not really a record of an inscription stone, but this is what is followed today. Okay, this is the gold standard for a lot of people. In fact, this is taught in epigraphy and history schools today as how you capture an inscription. They drum up a lot of excitement about it with the students. They buy this paper, it's special paper. They say 70 GSM paper. The small implement he is holding in his hand is called a dabber, by the way, which is only available in Chennai today. It's made of pig skin, dog skin, this hair, that hair, and quite a lot of technical specifications around that. But let me tell you the truth. So I showed a lot of red skull marks there, right? So in our project area, we have surveyed and we have identified 376 inscriptions have been damaged or lost. By the way, most of these have been lost in the last 20 years. Ever since urbanization, liberalization, and rapid growth started. Bangalore is no exception. The same story in every other town and city that you can see. Even on the rural side as well. So from our studies, what we know is 40% of inscriptions in urban areas, 30% in rural areas are not traceable today. So when I went looking for these lost stampages or lost inscriptions, there was not even one I could find. It's not in any of the archaeology departments, either in the state or the center. They're gone forever. The officer shifted from Mysore to Bangalore, from Ooty to Bangalore, Ooty to Mysore, and this building to that building, the humidity ate it away. All kinds of rubbish stories you hear. The stone is gone, the paper imprint is gone. Every record of whatever we had of the inscription is gone. And that's actually a disaster for more reasons than what I'm kind of made it out to be now. We'll see it in a minute when we understand more about readings. Now, that's one part of the story. The other thing is that intentional destruction aside, accidents happen all the time. Inscriptions are kept in museums, they're kept in mantapas, they're kept in whatever, but vehicles can ram into it, the construction workers can damage it, all of that can happen as well. They continue to happen too. Restoration, anywhere they say a temple restoration project, they sandblast the inscriptions. They clean the walls and they use sandblasting to do that. Even those inscriptions, the holiest of holy places, like you can think of about Tirumala temples and the other temples, have lost inscriptions because of during restoration projects by experts. Actually, they're not supposed to be ordinary people. They are also funded by the government in many cases as well. And then lastly, this is happening across the board. Nature is taking a heavy toll. Inscriptions that were very readable, legible about 20 years ago, today are hardly readable now. In fact, it's very common to have people say, how come, I had read this well, we didn't even do anything, I managed to see it and I could read it. Today, nothing is visible. Maybe the rain and sun, and maybe atmospheric corrosion, I don't know the reasons for that, is taking a toll on every single inscription across the board, anywhere in the country. Okay, so obviously we can't do with the kind of stampage method of preservation or putting them in mantapas or grand, pedestals and all of that. We need to do better. And the method that we have adopted in our project is called the digital method of conservation. So just a word about ourselves itself. We are a 4-member project. Like I already told you, there are people who are PhDs and masters there as well in that. So we are the people who go around the 6,000 square area, kilometer area, do the surveys, scan the stones. We come back, we read it ourselves as well. We write and publish about them. So to save 1,500 inscriptions does not take more than 4 people and 3.5 to 4 years to accomplish. Okay. All right. So we don't do it randomly. I'm not going to go into that. Urban areas on priority because that's where they're getting destroyed. We go do that and then we move on to the rural areas. What is it, this thing about that scanning, the scanner that we use? It looks like this. Does not look very fancy, and often most people say it reminds them of an iron box. It does look like an iron box. Unlikely that you'll find iron boxes of this price. This is a 3D scanner. Essentially, it records the XYZ coordinates of an object, any object, whether it's an inscription or whatever else. The roots of this go back to the aerospace and the defense sectors, where they were using this for reverse engineering work. Expensive parts, when they fail from expensive products, rather than go buy one-off products, they reverse engineer it and locally manufacture it, and then they save on the cost. The objective was to capture the geometry of the part, and that's exactly what we want to do when we take imprints of inscriptions. It's the same thing. So part of the job is on-site, which means we go to the place where the inscription is, wherever it is, and I'll show you some examples of the kinds of places where we have to work with this. And then we come back to our offices and we do post-processing in our lab, sitting at our desk. So it looks pretty simple. It's about 6 cameras there, lots of flashes on that. It's a very, very sophisticated piece of equipment. It is also not very inexpensive. It costs about $25,000 to buy this. This particular product we use is called the Artex Space Spider. It's a Luxembourg company. It's sold in India as well. There are a couple of other companies that manufacture similar ones. These are really specially suited for the work we do. We selected this on the basis of their ability to scan very fine details. So an inscription depth is typically 0.2 millimeters to about a millimeter or more, especially in the Bengaluru area where it's hard granite, it's pretty shallow. And after 1,000 years, it's also worn out. So to capture that kind of detail, we need very high accuracy scanners, and this was one of the that worked well for that. One of the few that worked well for that. So where do we scan? Here's a few more examples also to help you understand the state of inscriptions in the country. As you can see, this is a cemetery. It's a graveyard. Sitting in the cemetery are 10th century hero stones. This is in a place called Sanjay Nagar. Also better known, this by the way, the graveyard is in a place called Dollars Colony, which is one of the most luxury or the most upmarket places in Bangalore. It's called Dollars Colony because they sold the land in dollars to NRIs at one time. It's also the place where the ex-CMs of many politicians of the state live there. Sitting in the entrance of the graveyard, and you're seeing us, we carry a laptop with us, we carry the scanner with us, we go to wherever it is and we scan and come back. Here are 2 examples. On the left, obviously, a lot of people may recognize this. This is the Sringeri Vidyashankara temple. Okay, most people, when they visualize inscriptions, think of a place like this or a state like this. In fact, that one is so beautiful. They have a glass cover which has been lifted up there, if you see on the right side, to enable us to scan. This particular one is actually in Devanagari. It's from the 16th century. It's one of the samadhis of the Shankaracharyas of the 16th century there. Very well preserved, very well treasured, all of that. That is 1 in a million, not the truth. What you're seeing on the left side is what is there 99.9% of the time. Garbage filled site. You have to hold your nose. It's such a big stink there when you have to go there. So we'll go there, and that's Shashi from our team who's scanning there. So we go there, we walk over there, we carry our laptop. We have a stand which we use, and then we move on, we scan, and then we come back. But this is also not very uncommon. In the rural side, you'll find them in fields like this, half buried. So we have to dig it out or whatever, and then we scan as well when we come out there. But there is nothing ugly or indecent about this, except that it is likely to be damaged very soon, because when they use a tractor there for plowing around, likely to hit and get hurt there. Here's another example from the city of Bangalore. This is a compound wall of Kalyana Mandapa, a chowdhury in Banshankari. It's a 10th century hero stone. It's a very rare one in the sense it's called a jinke bete or a deer hunt. So a person has gone hunting for a deer. In the process, he's died himself, and this is put up in his honor. Busy road. It's actually a bus stand. You'll say right by the bus stand there. They don't even know what it is. They painted it over. Somebody, with an artistic touch has painted the sculptures as well, but it's the same color of the compound everywhere. I'm sure none of the people who get married in the chowdhury or the people who have the good lunch there understand the significance of the compound wall here for the localites. Okay, this is a recent one, and I chose this because it's one of the few that we have done from Tamil Nadu. This is in Archalur, in Erode district. The district collector, who's an heritage enthusiast, actually reached out. And it was also Padma Priya, who was from TST, who put him on to us for this. He wanted to build a memento which kind of symbolized the district in some way. And he said, can you help build replicas for this? Digitize it and help build replicas for this. So we went over there last month. So very recently, we had been there. What's very unique or special about this, it's a cave inscription, as you can see. Very unique is it's Tamil Brahmi 4th century. And it's considered to be one of the earliest music dance related inscriptions. So the reading goes tatai, tatai, and all that. I'll show you a model of that as well. So for that reason, it's considered to be very, very precious. You would expect a cave inscription to be like this to be secure. Even this has flaked. There are 3 inscriptions in that place. 3 of the 3, one is absolutely not even visible. The stone has flaked so much that it's gone away. 2 are on the verge of destruction as well. The water dripping down from the roof of the cave is probably the one culprit here. People don't go there. It's in reserve forest. Yet nature is taking it all. Okay, on one of the most valued inscriptions, I would say, in the country for its content. Okay, so let's do. I've been speaking a lot. Let me show you what really what a digital model looks like. So what you're seeing now on the screen is a photograph or a digital model. It should appear like a photograph to you, but it's really 3-dimensional. And I can, using the power of modern digital technologies, I can do magic with this. First of which is I can shine a light on this. It's like I'm shining a light. As you can see that, obviously it's getting better and better. This is the very, 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 very famous 9th century Nagatara hero stone. It was put up in honor of a man right here in the center. His name was Nagatara. He, in a battle between the Gangas and the Nolambas, he defeated them, and he was a chieftain here. And that war was supposed to have been a terrible war, a very gory war. So it shows the depiction of the war scenes here. You will see, a headless man here, a fox or a dog eating at this one, a crow here. I don't know if you can see the cursor there. A crow is pecking on the eyeballs of a person at the lower bottom here who's lying down. Okay, and the 2 people on the right extreme corner are carrying what appears to be a person on a stretcher. Being carried away from this one there. Obviously, this is a depiction of the battle, the various battle scenes as well. And lastly, when he dies, he's shown in heaven being served by Apsaras there. Okay, all of that is written on top in the inscription here. Okay, now I kept saying 3D, 3D, 3D. So if it were 2D, all you can do is zoom and pan. But guess what? I can do this because I have a 3D representation of the object. I can turn it around. I can look at it from anywhere I want, flip it around, and all of that. Shine a light on it from whichever angle I want. As you can see, still the reading is not very special. It's not very clear. This is where the power of digital computing comes into thing. Keep watching that this one. Suddenly you will see the visibility of it improve quite a lot. So let me kind of adjust it so you can see it better. You'll see the lighting has improved a little bit. Okay, I can now do, there you go. It should be even more easier to read this, assuming you know the script. This is unique because it carries the names of 12 localities of Bangalore today. They existed from the 9th century. One of which is the famous electronic city area. which is considered as a new locality, but it's been there from 9th century onwards. So there's evidence of that in this inscription now. Okay, now let's say this is not sufficient enough for me to read well. Okay, so what I can do is, I can strip off the color, the texture of the stone, and then see what happens. There you are. It becomes so much more readable now. Assuming you know the script, you can identify the alphabets here. You can definitely read this. This is 9th century Kannada for you. We can improve this even further. I can keep going on like this forever. This is like writing using chalk on a chalkboard. As easy as you can imagine it to be. I can zoom into anything I want. Actually, I don't know how good we'll show you on a zoom. I can see the chisel marks on the right.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption.
Yeah.
Is it possible to make the background white and the lettering black so it stands out in contrast?
Yes, it is possible. I can't do it on the fly now. Here, I've chosen these two colors, so it will show it in this color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I hope you can see this on Zoom, or maybe the resolution degrades. You'll see the chisel marks here. The sculptor has gone in clockwise or anti-clockwise. The ridges of the ridge marks by the chisels are visible here. That's how fine or how accurate or how good the resolution of this is. Okay. Now imagine using this to read inscriptions. The accuracy is going to go up many fold. Ambiguity, think back to the stamp I just showed you and what I'm showing it to you now. I can flip around the colors, all of that, which I'm not going to show now right now, but I can change the colors, tend to make this gold, make this some other color, or let me quickly see if I can do a little bit just to demonstrate the concept. Is that better? Is that something like what you're asking, Badri?
I think there is a little delay. Just the foreground now, this itself is quite readable. But if the contrast between the background and the foreground is
correct. So what I have to do for that is I have to essentially pick the.
Yeah, you don't have to do it now. I mean,
I won't do it now.
Yes,
thank you. All right.
We'll take it offline.
Okay.
Please.
All right. Thanks. Okay. So this is one of the models. I'll show you something else as well, which is of interest, just so that we can see one more and then move on. So this is again a 4th century inscription, not Bangalore, but this is in the Bangalore Museum. So again, I'll shine the light around. You will see Brahmi at the bottom. Okay, I'll shine the light around and I can read it slightly better. It's actually written sideways. So if I had to really see this, read this right, here's how I would read it. Okay. As easy, because it's 3D, I just turn it around. If it were written on other face, I could turn this face around. It's not like, flipping a paper or anything like that. Now I'll do the same magic. Let's say I want to see this with the color removed and all of that. Now look at this. It becomes so much more readable. The first letter is A. Okay. The last letter is Ya. I don't think it's so easy to read anything at all. This is obviously not chiseled, it's inscribed. They have used a pointed device, so you will not see the chisel marks on this. It's soft stone. So let me remove the color. There you go. It can't be any clearer than this. Perfect. It's magic. It's magic. Right? Okay. So that was that. And let me use this opportunity to show the Archalur inscription. This is just a video clip. I'm not showing you the model itself. So can you see my cursor as well?
Yes.
Great. So I'm circling the musical part of it. So this is the tatai, all of that, takadimitai and all of that here. notation. So this is on the right side, extreme in Tamil Brahmi is about the person who composed this. The word used is composed itself. There used to be an inscription in the middle now, which is gone. As you can see, it's chipped away, faded away, all of that is gone. What is also not well known, by the way, there's a sculpture here of a man who appears to be dancing or praying or something of that type. Interestingly, in any one of the books that I could find, it could be the Erode inscriptions, or it could be Airavatan Madhavan's Tamil Brahmi inscriptions. These are not mentioned. Stamp edges don't capture these, right? So these are not mentioned. In fact, there is a game carved on the floor of this cave. So that's a very old game. I don't know the Tamil name for it, but it's very popular in temples here. It's carved on temple floors here and all of that. Now let me play it to show you the 3D effect of this. This came from Silai, a Chennai company who's trying to make a replica out of this. Now this is a 3D digital stamp page at work for you. Obviously, there's no floor. This is the floor of this one is artificially created. Only the top surface of the floor was what we scanned. The bottom and the sides have been recreated just for making a replica. Now, please imagine this here in a scene here. Archalur is a small village. And Erode it's about 20-30 kilometers away from Erode. Now, somebody sitting in that cave 1600 years ago was educated enough to know the Brahmi. The only script in the subcontinent from Afghanistan to Kanyakumari to wherever else you could think of. You know, it's gone to places like Egypt as well, by the way. Sitting there, he was so literate. You know, when we are making a song dance about literacy today, there was a man who was literate. More interestingly, he was also familiar with music or classical music and dance. Living in a cave in a reserve forest and inscribing on stone something like this. Now, if I can take school children from Archalur or Erode to this cave and show them that and say, visualize this. 1600 years ago, you had such learned people living in your village. What will that child become? It will build a future nation or district or a village. An incredible place. It will no more be that unknown. Now, most of you probably can't tell me where Archalur is, but a child will tell the story of Archalur to the world. Just like we told the story of Hebbal to everyone. Okay, so that's a digital model at work for you. Okay, so I showed you a few models and then I'll go back to that, my presentation. That's what we mean by digital scannings, and I hope you got the idea for that. So in that map, when I was showing you, all the violets were essentially, we have digital models like this we can pull up for and show you. So they're digitally secure. So we have over about 600 such digital models now. So we're a little over halfway through our project in that sense. Okay, so what's the big deal? So you saw the stone. From the stone, we go to the digital model. From that, we can go to physical replicas. So what I'm holding in my hand is the 3D print of it. And from that, you can actually go to real ones. In this case, this is a brass replica casting of that. You can do it in gold, you can do it in stone, you can do it on rock, you can do it on whatever you want. So from the digital model, you can build many replicas. That's exactly what we did to raise funds for the Hebbal Kitaya Mantapa. Some people in the TST probably have these in their homes and places like that proudly on display. This replica is now sitting in many puja rooms of people. In fact, there are a couple of people who I know abroad, especially, who kept it in in lockers. When I went there, they said me, they told me that now it's sitting in our locker along with our jewelry and whatever. I said, what's so valuable about this? They said, this is where I come from. There's nothing more valuable than this. So this is the story of Hebbal Kitaya, the replica that we used to raise funds. 1,000 of these were made. 1,000 of these have gone to every place in India. Delhi, Hyderabad, Bombay, Calcutta, Indore, all those places where Bangaloreans have gone. And to every place abroad. So I have sent this to New York, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, Paris, London, Singapore, Hong Kong, name the place, that Bangalore would have gone, and they probably have gone to every nook and corner. The 1,000 of these have gone. So that man who was sitting in a gutter until recently, or the memorial was sitting in a gutter there, is now reached places worldwide. So Patel Srinivas' dream of my hebbal getting known across the world is partly realized in some ways. Okay. It also has a very huge academic impact. So even in that same particular inscription, so the stampage and all other, chalk powder and all of that did not help, help in reading some letters, but our scanning did. So much so that, who was the attacker was not something what the epigraphist could figure out. So the epigraphist was Dr. P.V. Krishnamurthy, who was also a Venkaya Award winner last year. So he used those digital images and identified the attackers to be from Rattawadi or the Rashtrakuta kingdom. Otherwise, you would have not known who are those people who have come and attacked Hebbal itself. So the digital models will help you in reading better as well. Going forward, and this is a kind of effort we are working on today, we'll use the same digital data to start reading inscriptions through software as well. An OCR like for inscriptions. It's doable or not, I don't know, but with digital data, with good quality digital data, probably more doable than otherwise. And that's where we are headed as well in our project in the years to come. So I'll kind of just skip this. Digital models have many benefits. It helps us in research. It helps us in conservation. It helps us in development of software, and I'll demo a few of these soon. Helps us in creating replicas, improving public awareness. These digital models are being used in by podcasters today, video bloggers. They're being used in movies. They're being used in animations. They're being used in journals. I can't imagine the number of media articles that use these now. We've shared a whole lot of them on Wikimedia Commons, and these are free for use for anyone. They're being used by all kinds of people to improve awareness and publicize the inscription. Okay, now scanning inscriptions is totally different ball game from reading inscriptions. This is hardcore epigraphy, right? So we are, as you saw in the photograph, a bunch of young people, except me. The rest of them are all less than 30 years old. Field of epigraphy is all gray hairs or no hairs. Okay. Now the first question to ask is, and it's considered to be a very, very difficult field. A lot of people go around saying epigraphy is something very difficult. It takes many hard years of work. It is not easy to understand and read inscriptions and all of that. So the first thing we did was we said, look, how do we benchmark ourselves? When we start to publish, and we come from an institution which is a 114-year-old institution, to who's who in the country publish in our journals. If we want to be published there, how do we know we are good at this? So we adopted a very simple methodology because I come from a totally different field. I was very familiar with statistical methods and engineering methods of establishing quality. And we had the help of some professors as well. We said, let's kind of benchmark ourselves and see how we fare against the experts in the field. So Karnataka has many experts who are reputed, who have been working 30, 40 years, like Dr. P.V. Krishnamurthy himself. How do we measure up against him? How can we say that what we are reading is good? So essentially, we use something called an attribute agreement analysis. I won't go into the details of this, which is a very good method to use when you do subjective things, which is like, if somebody says, is this dish tasty? And give it to 10 people, it's subjective, right? So those kind of things. So that's used in those fields. It's used in quality control departments. It's used in many such fields. We adopted the same one to establish how we do work. So very simply, we use the digital images. We did a reading. We gave it to the experts. They did a reading and they gave it back to us. Essentially, by reading, I'm meaning not interpretation of the meaning, just recognition of the syllables, the characters. Is this is this ka, is this ga, is this ma? Okay, and then we did a comparison. How do we compare? How do we fare against these experts? These experts are the gold standard. They're the living legends now. Okay, how do we as a team fare against the experts? And that's the way we said we'll assess ourselves. Okay, and essentially, obviously, accuracy was key. You don't want to go around fooling around saying this we scanned 500 inscriptions, here are the readings, and throw out garbage to the world. So what we did was, and by now probably a few eyebrows must have gone up. Differences in readings between an inscription. This is an inscription, a digital image of an inscription on the right side, and the reading, both in Kannada and in Roman, this one, which is IAST in this case. So this was what was published in the Epigraphy of Karnataka by B L Rice. The likes of Narasimhachar, B L Rice, these are legends. They're called Shasna Pitamas. They gave us and they published something which they thought was written on the stone. Then we gave a digital image like this one on the right side to an expert and said, can you verify this reading and give it to us? This is a published one, right? They read it and they said, look, what's in the book is slightly different from what we see on the image now. So the blue letters, the blue aksharas are essentially the differences. We did the same exercise and we showed, we compared our reading. So essentially the numerically we're quantifying it and saying total number of inscriptions here is 34, correct number of corrections is 6, therefore the correction rate is 17.65%. In this case, what it was and all of that. In some instances, we read the same, exact same as an expert. In some instances, we read different. In this case, if you see the letter Nya and Nya, both are different in the two readings. If I show the bottom one here, that is in IIST. Okay. So essentially, we are saying whatever the expert has read is the gold standard. There's no arguing with that. We have to accept this is the truth. And what it is that we have done, how do we compare against them? So the attribute agreement analysis exercise that we did, essentially we did for a group of inscriptions. And that's what's being shown here. A lot of matrices, don't get carried away by these fancy terms. It doesn't mean anything at all. If you can see the column that I have circled out here, any value over 0.6 means that there is a strong relation between the two examiners, the expert team and our team. So general industry standard is if a value of over 0.6, then they say that there is agreement between the raters. They're not very different. In most instances, we see stronger agreement. And again, the other matrices say, what's the chances? Fluke. Randomly, you could have got it. You can do 2 inscriptions and all of that. That's essentially what it's showing you here. And all of this, we said, look, again, we are not statisticians. We are not the experts in the field. And then we sought out professors from the Indian Statistical Institute. A very, very wonderful, excellent man by name, Professor Sanjit Frey, actually spent a lot of time with us and then helped us structure this whole exercise, validated the data. He himself, kind of showed us how to do it and all of that. And we are indebted to him. For the first time in the field of epigraphy now, we have a quantitative method of assessing the quality of a reading. Essentially, the conclusion of that was our team's performance was comparable to that of the expert team's performance. So all of the rest of my story that I'm going to show you is founded on this. That it is the Mythic Society team that has read and can come to some conclusions. But before we did any such thing of venturing out and claiming to anything or making any assertions, the expert team is who we measured at in the most modern mathematical statistical way possible. And I wish we could introduce this kind of a practice across the field in the field of epigraphy. Today, epigraphists are a rarefied commodity. A lot of other hobbyists, all kinds of people have started publishing inscription today. Now, how do you know that is good or bad? Most places, there is no data to validate a reading. You have to go by whatever is given. It's very hard to go to the site and verify. So essentially, we are basing history on the work of people who are not qualified, who are not ranked. If you want to be a doctor, you have to be a MBBS degree holder. If you have to be an practicing engineer, you need to have something. If you need to have a lawyer, whatever. There is no such really qualifying degree for publishing about inscriptions today. We built our own methodology, and that's what we have done here. Okay. And reading inscriptions, again, is a laborious process. Now, comparing like I did there, that's a terrible process if you're working with hundreds of inscriptions and thousands and tens of thousands of characters. So we are working in an industrial setting. We are not doing 1 or 2 inscriptions a day, a month or week or whatever. So we developed a bunch of utilities to do that. And today we are releasing a few of those for anyone to use freely. For some of these, we are also releasing the source code. They're open source. You can scan this QR code, or you can use this. Essentially, there are 3 things that are there in this utilities. So the last of the one is compared to inscriptions, which is what I did. Let me show you a live example of that. which is very simple here. So if you had scanned, it would have brought you to this application. So I enter the text of the inscription here, whatever it is. Right now, this works only with Kannada. It can be made to work with this one. What's the big deal? Actually, string comparison is one of the most basic things that anyone would do in computer science. But have you ever wondered doing string comparison in Indic languages, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, Devanagari, or any one of those? It's a nightmare. There's no software that does this. There's no ready-made off-the-shelf software that can do this. So spell check in most of our software fails miserably when it comes to Indian language, Indian scripts. English, it works well. German, it works well. French, it works well, but it doesn't here. So essentially, we input the text of two inscriptions here. In this case, this is the original reading. This is our reading. And then we say compare here. And when I say compare, this is my output. It says line by line. This was line 1, this was line 2. In blue color, you're seeing this. It may seem like a very, very trivial task, but imagine doing this for an inscription which has thousands of characters, or for hundreds and thousands of inscriptions. It's a nightmare. You will make mistakes. Your productivity will be dismal if you have to do this. And any epigraphist who wants to reread an inscription will publish an article giving these are the differences. There are some fancy notations, of course. We prefer to use colors in the modern world and bring out the differences. And the software will tell you this particular inscription has 126 aksharas. Aksharas are syllables. Okay, and 14 lines. And it's telling me there are 4 differences between inscription 2 and inscription 1. So on and so forth for line by line. It says these 2 lines are the same. And in the end, at the bottom, it will give me a summary telling for the entire inscription, there were 12 differences and the difference rate is 9.5%. What I'm showing it to you is a live one. It's not a fake, this one or a whatever. This is a real inscription. Okay, so it's coming from this, yeah, there you are. So this is Epigraphy of Karnataka, this is our reading, and you're seeing the colored differences here. When we reread, and we revisited 600 inscriptions is what I've been telling you, we found that every inscription, no matter who has read it, it could have been read by the greatest of the great epigraphists in 1905 like Rice or Narasimhachar, or a very recent hobbyist for an inscription recently discovered. The story is the same. 9.5%, there are many, many more ones. So I can go on like this, 20%, 15%, so on and so forth. So what we discovered is on an average, which is the point that Gauri mentioned earlier, for about 200 plus inscriptions, we noticed 20% corrections in every inscription. Any inscription you pick at random, you're likely to find 20% of the readings that have been given like this need to be corrected. Now, please imagine this. Basis for history. One of the largest sources for history, especially pre-16th century, is our inscriptions. Archaeological findings, monuments, literature are all there, of course, but the inscriptions are one of our most basic, primary, trusted sources. In the reading of them, we are finding 20% need to be corrected. Essentially, I'm saying that, we did a further drill down of that. Let's see what these corrections look like. So we use the methods of data science to kind of analyze. So we used a pool of about 29,000 aksharas for the 200 inscriptions, and we said, let's find out which are the most misread ones. So this is in Kannada, but for those of you who don't know Kannada, I'll read this out. In the 1,000, we are analyzing inscriptions from the period 500 to 1800, which is what we find in the Bengaluru region. The entire period, the most misread letter is Ra. The next misread is Da. Then we have Ya, Ka, Va, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now this analysis was done by 2 MSc data science interns from NMKRV College. We are very, very grateful to them for having done this work. And I'll show you the dashboard, real dashboard itself. This is not the slide. This is the real tool that I'm going to be showing you now. Okay. Now look at the power of this. it kind of sieved through 30,000 characters, got me which is the most misread one. And if I click at Ra here, it's now showing me what is it that it has been what is the right reading. So Ra should have been read as Ra, the Dirga, Ram, Ru, Lu, the old Ra, Ka, Da, and so on and so forth. Now I know potentially which letter could have been misread in what probability or what confidence level as well. So using my database now of this knowledge, I can identify potential errors in inscriptions without even going to the site, just given a text of the inscription. And that is what this other first thing called the predictor does. So it uses this knowledge, and I'll input a sentence here in Kannada and say, okay, show me something about this. This is all in Kannada. Please bear with me if you don't know Kannada. I'll read it out for you. It says Swa could have been misread as Shwa, Sa, Shri, Svo, Vi, and Ma. It is getting this from our error database. I can drill down and say for the period only. So let's say this was the entire period. Let's say for the period 1100 to 1200. I just want to see which was the most misread letter. The pattern will obviously change a little bit. So in this period of 1100 to 1200, it's saying the first letter earlier was Ra, now it is Pa. The most misread letter is Pa. And what does Pa should have been read as, most often it is misread. The Va is misread as Pa. They have a very close similarity in terms of form. They look similar, which probably why easy to misread. And again, here at the bottom, okay, why could a misreading have happened? Because of the surface of the quality? Surface quality, is it weathered? Is it poorly dressed? Is it well dressed? We categorize that. Interestingly, you will find even in very well dressed, very legible, this one we have issues. So in that, if I want to see, I click on that, it will tell me in the most well dressed tone too, the letter Ra has been misread many times. It has been misread as the Dirga Ra. The second, the Ka, right? The second one there, the Ra there. So I can go on like this. So the implication of, so that is another tool. And like I was telling you, this tool is now available for free for anyone. If you want to use this, please go ahead and use this. We would love to hear feedback. You can write to us and let us know how you find this as well. Okay. So I showed you this analysis. Essentially, the implication of this is every single inscription in this country, whether it is in Karnataka or Tamil Nadu or Kashmir or Assam, must be revisited. Not just for conservation purposes, like in my first point, that local people must know, of course, that's why it must be preserved. If you want to validate history, and what our data is showing you is inscription-based history is potentially 20% in error. Okay, what are those errors? Let me show you a few examples here. Okay, some of them are orthogonal errors, so no orthographic errors, so no big issues. Many of them are very serious errors. I picked 4 examples here to indicate what it is. Basavoja, a person name had been has now corrected to Basavanna. Actually, the two names are very distinctly different. Oja by definition is, or by most times, means a teacher. Anna is more likely to be a leader. The meaning of the understanding of the person changes when we read a few 2 syllables here. Basava and Oja and Anna, the Na and the Oja were the difference that made it. Lakkanna Dandesha is a very famous commander. Okay, from Devaraya's time, Vijayanagar King Devaraya's time. A lot of people know about Chola international conquest or Ashokan international conquest. But Devaraya also did that as well. In fact, Lakkanna Dandesha went to Sri Lanka and is known for the military campaign there. His name features here because of a rereading. He was not identified at all before. Now we have a name. We know, we have an inscription related to him. A numeral error. This happens quite often in our birth certificates, right? Corrected from 1346 to 1336. This is very significant because this particular inscription had been attributed to the Hoysalas by no less a person than B L Rice. In the preface to the book, he writes, the last Hoysala inscription in this region is from 1346. which is very strange because the Vijayanagar Empire was founded in 1336. 10 years later, the people here are still claiming to be a part of the Hoysala Empire. The problem was not what the original writer wrote on the stone. The problem was in the person who read it recently. They mistook a 3 for a 4. In fact, the month also was changed. This was a more horrible case. It was not just a letter. They misread the month as well in this particular case. The last example is from the same model that I had shown you, the Nagatara Virgal. A place name has been continually reread. This has been reread by as great people as Wolves and Narsimachar and Rice and everyone else. It has been read as Saramu, Saramu, Saramu all along. When the place name is Saraki, which is again a very upmarket neighborhood in Bangalore. An upmarket neighborhood in Bangalore has a 1100-year-old history, thanks to the reading correction that we are able to give now. Significant issues. These need to be addressed. Okay. So I'll show you another software, which is what we have used here. And I'll show the slide, this one again, so that you can read the, okay. This software is also being released today. This is a beta release, and we're very happy to share with you. We call this Akarabandara because we believe it's really a treasury of Aksharas. It's currently for Kannada, and we'll show it to you. This is the software. If you had scanned that, it would have brought you here. And again, the images we are using, the messaging we want to give here is telling, look, epigraphy is not for adults, gray-haired people. We want children like this girl on the screen. She's copying the famous Bengaluru inscription, the 900 CD inscription on paper. She's so shy. When I asked her to turn towards the camera, she looked away. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. She was probably 8 or 10 years at that time of age. So in this software, all that we have done is for the same analysis that had been done for the 30,000 characters, we have now put it in this software. It is in English and Kannada. I'll switch to the English version here. Okay, so we can show from the 30,000 Akshara syllables that we're showing you, the vowels, the Gunitaksharas, or the forms, the various forms of vowels. Will show you the ligatures, conjuncts, conjunct vowels, number symbols, and all of that. Just for example, this is what you would find in most textbooks. So for the period 500 to 599, all the inscriptions, the Varnamala, okay, let me switch to IAST so you can read that easily. There you are. Okay, so this is A-I-E-U-U. From inscription data, let me go to the 6th or 8th century. There you are. This is how an A looked in an inscription in the 7th century inscription, which we have scanned. All of these are digital images. I showed you images like that. Okay, so I can keep going century by century like this. In fact, there are so many samples. If I just keep click a filter here, it will throw more and more images for me. Now, this software is accessible. Is not really designed for mobile. So if you're working on a mobile phone, if you scanned it, it may not look so neat and nice. It's intended for desktops as well. It was developed by a volunteer software engineer by name Karthik Aditya. We are so grateful to him that during his holidays and off his hours, he sat down, he's understood our requirements, and he's developed this software for us. Okay, so we can keep going century by century like this and seeing how Ka was written during this thing. This is not a big thing. This is there in any epigraphy book, and they teach you in any epigraphy course. We can go a step further, and let me show you this. So different forms, and let me switch to IAST again so that you can all follow it. Every letter during the same century was written in different forms. This is rarer information. And most often people will sketch out by hand based on memory or something like that. We are not doing that. We are cutting it out from the inscription and showing you the 2 forms of A in 8th century. If I want to know from where, I just click on it. And it will throw me a lot of information. It's telling me that this was from a place called Totagere. In line number 2 of that, character number 8 was that. What does it mean? It's a Brahmadeyam or Agrara related inscription. The summary of that inscription in English is given here. What's the size of the inscription? What's the GPS coordinates? Right now, it's a little jumbled up. It's not showing it right. Who was the dynasty? Was there a king mentioned during that time in that inscription? What are the people names? Wealth of information is thrown up here from one image or this one. This is not conjecture. This is real. This one you can learn. You can go stand in front of that inscription and character by character, you can do this now. We have seen this people. We have seen people doing this. Now, when we make this available to somebody in the neighborhood, the first thing they do is you'll see them stabbing away at the phone screens. What is this letter? What is this letter? What is the meaning of this? And so on and so forth. So we have filters as well here. Okay, I can say, if I'm learning this one, I can say, show me only good quality pictures. You categorize those. Show me average quality pictures. Show me poor quality pictures. Show me more than 5. Show me whatever. You know, the data set is so huge. If you want to learn, this is a wonderful tool, and that's why we call this as the Akarabandara there. Okay. So for dearth of time, I'll kind of move on quickly. The most difficult part, you know, the Vattaksharas, you know, vowels and consonants, anybody and everybody will get. Then when you, okay, let me switch to IAST. There you are. How do you write something like mo? It's a conjunct of a vowel and a swara and all of that. In which inscription do we find this? I'm saying, when you just move your cursor there, it'll show you it's from an inscription from Bengaluru. If I click on that, again, the entire metadata will show up. Okay, so various forms. If there are different forms, it will show you different forms. This is not possible in any book or a classroom. You can show a few samples. Every inscription in our database, currently it has about 183 inscriptions on this software right now. Many unpublished, few published as well. Now, you can sit in a remote district. You can sit in the city of Bangalore. You can be a middle school student. You could be a PhD scholar. You could be a epigraphist of whatever fame. You could be a villager in a remote district of Raichur. You can use this. There are many children across Kannadiga children elsewhere in the USA who are wanting to use this and learn. You can sit anywhere. We are democratizing this knowledge. Whatever is considered to be a privileged and a very specialized knowledge, we are making it available for anyone to master and learn, sitting in their homes. Okay. All right. So we have gone on and on. So we do the same for numbers, symbols, and etc. I just want to show you a little bit about inscriptions itself. We just go beyond that and say, show me an inscription. Okay, this is the digital image, and we can zoom, pan here, do whatever you want. Then line by line here, we give the, okay, let me switch to IAST so everybody can follow. Then here you are. The first letter is Swa, then Sti, then there is Ri, Sri, whatever. Click on that and you'll see a zoom of that. Now, here is transparency when it comes to reading inscriptions. We not only give our reading, we also give you the image and our reading so that you want to validate, you want to learn, you want to correct, absolutely fine. If Badri now thinks that, look, you guys read it wrong, I want to republish this, please go ahead, you're welcome. Use the same images, don't have to go to the site, high quality images. Validate, verify anyone's reading as well as correct it if it is there. You are only improving the accuracy of history that we have available. At this moment, we have 183 such inscriptions here. As we go on, we'll go on putting up more and more examples of these. Here, this will continually evolve, which is why we are calling this a beta release. The other feature here is learning. Let's say you want to learn and say, what is this akshara? Show me the answer, and you can keep playing this game. Show me other words on. So we go from letters to words to sentences to inscriptions and all that. I won't take you through all of them. You can please explore at leisure. So this is the inscription. We're asking you to read. Let's say we progress from letters to words to sentences. Then you want to read an entire inscription. So then we say, wonderful. We give you some samples here. Go ahead and read this. By the way, this is also included in the Shasna section there. You can verify against our answer. Say, show me the answer, and it'll show me some answers there. Okay. Now, I don't want to traverse. I'm now a veteran user. I want to just search for a particular character. I can do it in my native language, or I can do it in IAST. Let's say I want to search for images of the letter P. Show me how it is, and there you go. Any letter you have a doubt about, how was it in the 8th century? How was it in whatever? You can do all. Again, there are filters and all of that you can keep doing. Okay. I don't want to see the entire period. I want to see only for the period 16, let's say, let's see, just something like 1,200 to 1,300. Show me the letter perf only from this period. And it will show me that. Okay, there you go. Mind-boggling power at the hands of everybody. Accurate information. It's not feasible for everyone to go attend epigraphic courses in some very good places like Madras or Bangalore or Mysore or some of these places. Everybody should have the opportunity, and this software will help you do that. So I'll just kind of give you this one. So if you want to use this software, please just scan this and start using it today. The only word of caution is it's an evolving beta release. Just for the special event of this talk, and we want to use this platform, so we are releasing it now. There may be one or two minor issues. Please write back to us and help us develop this even further. We hopefully will want to launch this next year. Right now, it has only Kannada. We also have a lot of Tamil inscriptions in our region. Soon, we will also add Tamil into this. This is an open source software. We are very happy to collaborate with anyone, anywhere in the country. Now, the logic that I told you, look or think about Brahmi, in the 4th century or 3rd century, then kind of morphing and evolving into Tamil here, Kannada there, Devanagari there, or whatever this one elsewhere. We can realize that here in this software. You don't have to take anyone's word for that. And imagine using this as a language teaching tool in schools. No child will ever say, I don't want to learn my language. They will love it. And I think that's the goal, and that's where we want to go. A few more points, and I'll be done in about 10 minutes. Now, while all that is fine, we just don't go and look for those documented inscriptions only. We do what we call as village-to-village surveys. And this is an example from a taluk, Magdi, which is in Bangalore, which is in the Ramanagara district today. Village to village means every village we go there. We ask people, we meet the village officers, we talk to the old people, we talk to the children, we talk to everybody and gather information. And just like I've been selling all the ways, we don't take a notebook under this one. We have a very sophisticated app for data gathering that's called EpiCollect, developed by the University of Oxford. It's a free open source software. Anybody can use it. It's used in all fields, not just in for the task that we are doing it. We use it and we document information, GPS locations, contact numbers, how does it look in terms of photographs, videos, audios, everything. So now for this taluk alone, we visited 1,200 sites. 1,200 sites in a taluk, village to village, asking what heritage is there, can we discover it? Can we help you identify it? We have 9,000 photographs from that place now. What's so important? Destruction. Please keep remembering this. 40% of inscriptions have been destroyed. 30% of inscriptions have been destroyed. Hero stones are getting destroyed. Sculptures are getting destroyed, both intentionally, unintentionally, accidentally, whatever, all of that. You don't have a documentation of that. So these 9,000 photographs that we have gathered so far, I presume fewer than 1,000 have been, fewer than 100 are available anywhere. This is a public database. We will open this up for anyone to use. In the process, not just the photographs, we discovered 340 hero stones. One of the least unexploited sources of history in southern India. Rich history. It's not there. Nobody has a catalog of hero stones anywhere. Nobody knows, is sati prevalent here? Nobody knows, was cattle theft a problem here? What kind of people died in heroic encounters? All that is history too. We are blindsided to it because we have not considered it. Okay. And an area as thoroughly surveyed as in this region, we are able to discover undocumented inscriptions. This is a big learning for anybody, I would say, there. 55 inscriptions have been documented in this taluk, but we found 20 more. Mind-boggling, 30 to 40% undocumented inscriptions. This is in a good place. Now, North India, I think, is going to be much better. This one in Karnataka, if I take North Karnataka, is going to be much higher. Coastal Karnataka has hardly had any work done there. Same story in Tamil Nadu, same story in Kerala, same story anywhere. Please, none of those things that I'm telling you are any special or unique to Bangalore. Same story anywhere in North India or Eastern India, Western India, or anywhere. Okay, so this is heritage undiscovered, unrecognized, unheard of. This is history unknown. Okay, so yes, I already spoke about this. We put it. What do we do with all this information? We share it freely with the public. To use a kind of vulgar word, our customer is the public. We are an NGO. We are not for a profit, but we do this work for our own people. Okay, you can scan this map and you'll get all the information about inscriptions. Like I showed you, click on it, you get get information about how old it is, what's written, and all that. So we similarly have put up we are launching a map actually today, which is the ancient temples of Bangalore. I'll show one example, but I'll just move on. A lot of people don't know. Most Bangaloreans or most residents of these districts have no idea what kind of wonderful temples they have. We have temples from the 7th century here. So many of them. People say, tell me which are the old temples. Sir, Mahabalipuram. Sir, Kanchipuram. Sir, Hampi. Sir, some other place. Man, it's in your village. 7th century, 8th century, 10th century, 9th century, name the style you can think of. Exquisite temples. I'll show you a few examples if I can find the time too. Okay. All of these are on the map. You can scan these and you can go find these. These are, because they're on a map, you can navigate your way. They're just Google Maps. It'll give you to this one as well. Same with hero stones. I can do the same things like I did with inscription. Show me only the Sati hero stones. Let me see if I can do that quickly and show the power of that. This is the hero stones map. And we have about we have about 1,400 hero stones on the map right now. So I'll say sure. If I click on any one of them, it'll give me a lot of story about it. It says this is from the 9th, 10th century, a skirmish hero stone in a place called Barnanalli. Who photographed it? This was in this case our team member. What type, again, it will give you all of that. Then we give a description as well. We linked it to a document where you will find out what a skirmish hero stone is and all of that. Now let me do the same example and say, show me all the Sati stones in this one. So I do a search. You'll see the circled ones in white here. They are all Sati stones. Some of them are as old as the 10th century. Okay. Now a lot of people are very curious. Oh, you had Sati practice here. Yeah, but this is very different from the West Bengal Rajaram Mohan Roy Sati. This is voluntary and it is honorable and all of those kind of things. Now, I want to see tiger encounters. Let me see. I can do in Kannada or I can do in English. I'm using English here because largely English audience. I'm showing you tiger hero stones where all they are. What can I conclude from this? Were these forested areas, were the tiger venturing into settlements, whatever, now I can dig in and understand. Oh, I see. Tigers have been spotted historically in these places. Encounters have happened like this. Robbery related. Show me the ones which are to do with robbers. There is one somewhere. Yeah, there should be one. There is one there. Okay. This man, it's from the 14th century, apparently went on a pilgrimage to Tirupati, and when he was returning, he got robbed. There's an inscription which gives us the story. Okay. All right. There's so many of these. Now think about this. Imagine the analysis I can do here. What periods were these events happening? Is there a kind of randomness to this, or were there kind of concentration? Was Sati practiced all along, or during the 13th century was it more common? Why was it happening? Now I can start digging in and understanding the history of this place better, different. This is the power of digital work, and this is the power of village to village survey. Whoever thinks history is all done and dusted with is, I think, no clue about what lies undiscovered. That's the example I want to give you here. Imagine the same thing. For paucity of time, I'll skip it. If I could do this for temples and show you 8th century temples of Bangalore, I'm sure half the people here, eyeballs will be popping out. Bangalore, tech city, has 8th century temples. There are lots of them. Okay, let's move on. Okay. I just lost my cursor.
It's not on a full screen mode.
Okay, got it now. Right. Okay, I'll move on. So that was the Akarabandara field surveys and maps and all that. Now, the last of the things I want to talk about is how do we share this information? We have our own publications, of course, but we adopted the method of method of using Wikipedia to share information. Now, about 50 inscriptions of Bangalore are already have wiki articles on them. And the example I'm showing you is one from the it's a mother article about the inscription stones of Bangalore, which tells you how many are there, where they are, locality by locality, and all of those kind of things. And we leverage, some of it is done by us, but we leverage the students to do a lot of this work. So in particular, we had two extraordinary students, Duan and Prashast, who helped us with this. They put together these 50 odd plus inscriptions, wiki pages. Now, what's the big deal is what you may ask, and this shows you how many people are accessing these wiki articles. Now, the Hebbal Ketaya article inscription was documented in a publication called Itihas Darpana. And pardon me, P. Krishnamurthy, sir, if you are on this thing, I had asked him a question. Sir, how many people do you think have read your article in that journal? And he said, maybe 10 to 20. I said, who do you think this 10 or 20 are? Most of them are my colleagues, friends, or whatever. They want to see what is it that I have done recently, or keep track of whatever is going on and all that. I said, how many people from Hebbal would have read it? Where the inscription is, where the hero is from, where the event was related to? He said 0. I said, isn't that tragic? I said, with your permission, I would like to open it out and turn it into a wiki article. And this was in 2020, we turned it. Here is a statistic there, circled in red. 4 people on an average read that article every day. 6,400 people have read that article so far since we put it up in 4 years. Now, I don't know how many inscriptions in the world gather this kind of readership. This one has. It's a great medium to share information. And, very, very good information people can contribute to. So I occasionally keep checking on the article. A lot of people are improving it by adding in some other perspectives and angles and all that. Now, the last one, so what? And this was the theme of my talk. Yeah, we've done all those wonderful things. What does it mean for Indian epigraphy? The learnings from the last 3 years are what I've summarized here in my one pager here. If you're sitting anywhere in India and you care about epigraphy, to transfer our learning across India, this is what we have to do. Number one, you have to halt the destruction of inscriptions. The most ignored, abandoned piece of heritage and source of history for us is going through very, very, very difficult times. It doesn't take much effort or cost to save inscriptions, unlike a big monument or something like that. The most abundant source of information of the past is an inscription, and it's going waste at a rapid pace, like 30 to 40%. It will soon be extinct. You have to take this up on a war footing. Now, we are doing this for the region of Bangalore. We want everybody to do this everywhere else in the country. Point 1. Please, you've seen the power of digital methods right now. Every method I've shown you, whether we do a survey, whether we do a modeling, whether we do reading, whether we do awareness, publicity, everyone is digital. Great, powerful methods. Epigraphy today is lagging in this field. Every one of those methods I showed are not standard practices anywhere in our country today. We must adopt. Whether it is archaeology department, whether it's epigraphy schools, whether it's the universities, whether it is the epigraphist, whether it's the Archaeological Survey of India, we must embrace digital methods. No running away from that. If you're listening to me or watching me from across the world, it's thanks to the power of digital technology. Let's use it for our favorite field of epigraphy as well. Ancient scripts, the point I made about Akarabandara, mind-boggling power in the hands of our children, of learners. You can read Sangam literature in the original. You can read anything you want. Kaviraja Margas by Rupatunga, the most ancient Kannada literature available today in its original form. poetry, music, dance, name it, science, technology, etc. All a world which is today, I would say, secret and unknown can be opened up if we start learning scripts. Let it not be the domain or the field of old people who are fast vanishing. Let it become the field for children to explore and learn from. Accuracy, like I showed you, 20% of all aksharas are being misread in any inscription on an average. History as we know it today is 20% in error at least. If we need to tell history accurately, we need to go revisit every one of those inscriptions. And nobody even knows how many we have. In India, they rumor it, they say it's anywhere from 5 lakh to 10 lakh to 15 lakh to God knows how many. We haven't even surveyed. We don't even know how many there are. We should do it because they're getting destroyed. We should do it because we are at this point in evolution of our society where we care for history accurately. Right? Now, the rich and the famous. History is not Kanchipuram, Mahabalipuram, Halebeedu, Ayole, and all of these places only. It's a myth. Like I showed you, every village is a treasure. If Gangadipura, which most people would not even recognize, has heritage which can inspire a child there to go into one of the most elite institutions in the world, I think we are wasting it. We don't know. We should leverage it. Yeah? Okay. Most importantly, share it with the world. We need far more people talking freely, openly, adopting new methods. Use the Wikipedia, use video blogs, use YouTube, use forums such as these, do whatever. End of the day, make sure that history and heritage doesn't remain the exclusive, epigraphy does not remain the exclusive domain of epigraphists. Nobody wrote an inscription for it to be read by an epigraphist. It was intended for everybody. Let's share it freely with the world. Okay, with that, I thank you all in the 4 languages of my most favorite, beautiful city. Thank you.
It was wonderful.
I'll stop sharing.
By the way, you've taken close to an hour and 45 minutes actually.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I didn't want to sort of, tell you that it is, can you speed up, etc. Because it was going in such a wonderful flow. I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
I have a few questions from the audience as well. But, for the sake of time, let's just talk for maybe max 10 minutes. So we are now 7:27. So let's go till 7:37, maybe 7:40. Otherwise, it will be a little too late for everyone.
Okay.
Amazing talk. In terms of what you have done, what your team has done, I take you as a representative of the entire team that has put in this effort, thought through. Some of us, including me, we've had similar ideas, but we didn't really get around to doing even, one little piece of this, right? The idea of getting all the inscriptions of Tamil Nadu, of course, as a starting point in one database. We have written proposals. We have, convinced government arm to allocate some money, but nothing really came out of it. But what you have done as a private initiative, largely a private initiative, maybe the governmental bodies may have gotten involved through giving you permission or access or other things. That is amazing, actually. And you are, in fact, taking a complete relook at the history and, inscriptions, and from there to history. As the early pioneers of the British period here, who started looking at and documenting inscriptions and technically taught the Indians to start doing this. This is a significant jump from that. No, we have been basically following that until around now. And now the approach to documenting it digitally. Of course, the technology has helped. It's only now that We can even talk about it. Perhaps 10 years back, we could have started this. But the accuracy, amazing quality, the, bringing that entire, if it's a cave, the entire stone with fragments, broken, whatever it is, bringing it to life. And once it is in digital form, then you can actually you can really apply magic, as you say. Pass light on it, cut it, take a character at a time. Hundreds of things can be done. Amazing stuff. I'll just quickly ask a couple of questions. There's one, a series of questions from Hemant. He seems to have had a conversation with you a long time back.
Yeah, okay.
After this, he says, I've had the privilege of documenting Rajendra Chola's Leiden copper plates in the Netherlands using photogrammetry technique. All I had to use was a premium app and click 200 images to create a 3D model. Can we not crowdsource and create an app for free so that it can be used by the public and this way digitize as many artifacts as we can?
Yeah.
As opposed to the model which you at the least will require a $25,000 equipment.
Okay. So the two things, photogrammetry as a technique. In fact, before we got onto this method, we tried photogrammetry. There are a couple of other methods like reflectance transformation, imaging, RTI, and all of that which we had experimented. Because at that point they're low cost, and like what Eamon's saying, they're ubiquitous. Anybody who has a phone, they can do it. What we quickly realized when we did this is that photogrammetry is not good enough for inscriptions. Okay, photogrammetry is more visual.
Was applying it on a copper plate inside a museum.
So some of these methods had that limitation that they're good in a lab or an indoor setting. On the field, there were issues. That was one. And two, also the resolution of these, see, they look very great because they use texture mapping and all that to make the object look realistic. The three-dimensional part, the accuracy in that, in being able to have XYZ coordinates, the measures, the surfaces, the solids, photogrammetry will not allow you to do that at the resolution we want to do for inscriptions. Miserably failed at that. Okay. Maybe 10 years from now, the method will evolve. Maybe the algorithms will improve. Maybe the cameras will improve. At the moment,
itself will be lower in price.
Yeah, actually.
5,000 a piece, for all you know.
That's very possible as well. There may be other methods that will evolve and all that. At the moment, photogrammetry is probably okay for doing some sculptures, not good enough for inscriptions. And again, for copper plate, actually the a copper plate, a palm leaf, or any one of these, the depth is not really this one. The visibility, the contrast is also high. Why do photogrammetry? Even a simple photograph is good enough most times for it to make this one. You don't have need in photogrammetry for that. So if you're doing palm leaf digitization, copper plate digitization, whatever we are showing is a massive overkill and an inappropriate thing. If you're doing stone inscriptions, there's no other way available today than what we are doing today. We went through a cycle of trying to experiment and see all of this.
Okay. A related question, because you talked about both palm leaf and copper plate. Question from Nuthan Paul saying, can we use the same device for manuscript? By which I'm assuming both palm leaf and or
any. Yeah. No,
right?
It wouldn't. No.
I'll complete the question. Is there any specific dimension limitation to scan objects?
Yeah. So I'll answer the first one. There is no specific dimension. In fact, I wanted to show a model today, but unfortunately, I'm at home and my computer is not good enough to display it. We scanned an entire temple, 10th century temple at a place called Malurpatna. It's a Tamil thing, and that's why I thought I'll bring it up today, but we couldn't do it. So for the entire Bitti, Adhisthana downwards, all the four sides. Now the perimeter of the temple is upwards of about 50 feet.
Okay.
Okay, we scanned it over a week and we have the digital model of that. Thankfully, in fact, we rushed to do it because I overheard that it's up for renovation.
Oh my God. Okay.
So I said, I'm dropping everything. We camped there for a week and then we digitized everything there. Now, the beauty of that is also This is pre-Ramanujacharya, but the word Vaishnava figures in that.
Ah,
Okay. So there are some unique things about that. We did that an entire temple. So the smallest object can be anything. So the average inscription size we are scanning, hero stone we are scanning is about 6 foot, 7 foot tall, 3-4 foot wide, and about a foot thick and all of that. Smaller ones are also there. The largest ones, like I told you, run into it's an entire building itself.
okay.
We don't do usually entire buildings because it was covered with inscriptions. This is the very typical 10th century Chola style. Every piece of the temple is writing.
Okay.
Okay, so we scanned the whole temple. Otherwise, we would not have done it. Anything can be done. Now, the other way of saying it, how small an object can you scan? Stone inscriptions, all of them we can scan. Clay inscriptions, clay are very, very shallow and very sharp. Our device cannot pick up that. Pottery shreds and things like that, our device cannot pick it up. There are other devices, more expensive ones, laser-based ones, which can pick it up and do that. Okay, so 2. Do we need to use this device on manuscripts and all? No way. It's like you want to buy a latest fighter aircraft and use it to transport kerosene or something like that. This is not the method for that. Just take a photograph of it, clean up the palm leaf, the leaf itself, or clean up this one. Dust something if you want on a copper plate. Improve the contrast on it, take a photograph. This is not required for that. That is how Mythic Society is itself undertaken another project at Oriental Research Institute in Mysore, where we are digitizing about 3 lakh folios or more. There we use a simple SLR camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there are a couple of questions from Shreya Devgar. One is, has this type of a work been done in North India? The previous question, she also asked, can this device be used by anyone or only a person skilled in science can use it? I'll ask the third question also, which is not a question but rather a plea, where she's saying she's from Varanasi and she has completed her master's from Banaras Hindu University and she's interested to research in this branch.
Wonderful.
How can I work on North Indian inscriptions using this technique? So you can take it as a sort of template question because talk about it, but maybe you can point yourself to this, the whole setup, and then give an answer.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. I'm really so happy to hear somebody from Varanasi is attending this call. My day is made. So the thing is, can anyone use this device? Yes, anyone can use this device with a little bit of training. Okay, it's not like just taking a photograph with a camera or anything like that. It needs to be held at a certain device. There is a guide in the software which will show you if you're holding it too far or too close or all of that. Probably about 15 days to 20 days of training will help you do some of the easier ones, not as this one. Do you need to be science, whatever? Don't worry. The team that you saw, 2 of our people are PhDs, but they're computer illiterates when they came on board. So they're not even used to touch the keyboard. Very, 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 that's the state of history students, nothing to do with anything else. Anybody can learn it, not a big deal at all. Don't even have to be literate because it's visual more than anything else. Once you figure out how to hold it, good enough. Yeah, can it be done in North India? If I can inspire you to take it up, I'm really, no, I'll die happy with this moment. So the goal of this is to do this on a pan-India basis. By the way, is it only done here? Yes, not just in India, across the world. This is probably the only one of its kind at this scale. Nobody is doing it at this scale where it'll say we'll go scan 1,500 inscriptions over a 6,000 square kilometer area or anything like that. So it's a first of its kind. And the whole objective here of the way we kind of, title this talk is what's the implication for India? We want this to be done all India. And how can you do it all India? I said, like from my side and from the Mythic Society side, we are fully committed to supporting anybody and everybody. We are very happy to help you with this.
Yeah, I have a follow-on question. Would you be willing to organize a workshop camp to teach people, maybe a 3-day camp where people from different places are brought in, a bit of an intro about the device, how to use it, then let's come together and organize something and identify people. Of course, people can apply and we can figure out the cost. We'd be very interested in trying to create a set of people proficient in this, and then we can figure out the there is a cost of organizing this itself, which I'm sure we can manage. But subsequently, in terms of accessing the equipment, buying it, no, that is a different project. I'm sure you will have to reach out to people in different places, wealthy individuals, government, universities. That's the second part of it. But if you can think of a 3-day camp or something like that, we can really put something together between the two of us.
Absolutely, Badri. For a long time now, it's been TST's desire for me to come and do this at Mahabalipuram. I'll be very happy to do this either at Mahabalipuram or in the city of Chennai, Madras itself, where we have ample this one. Wherever you want, we're very happy to do that. So when I started this project and Gauri put it up, I took a break from my regular career so that I could fulfill my dream for this city. I was at that time thinking, see, my city, and I cared for only about it. Now, 4 years down the line, I realize the problem is there everywhere. We have to do this everywhere now. Okay, somebody has to stand up and roll up the sleeves and say, let's do it. That's all that takes.
Wonderful. There is one last question. I know there are a few more comments and questions, but I'm sort of,
Now, I wanted to ask one thing about
before that, let me just
Okay.
and then I'll hand over to you. On the software side of things, Guru Rajendran has a question. Search, for example, a person or a place name, and will it show in how many inscriptions it occurs within the asset? You did already show on the map itself, but the very, if you keep slicing things, finally the very digitized data in 2 languages itself has enormous value. What are the, answer the question, and also what ideas you have for the data set itself?
Okay, definitely we can do search on anything. It doesn't have to be just a person name. It could be a person name, it could be any word, it could be a sentence, it could be a people, king name, dynasty, whatever. All kinds of search are there because we have put it all into the metadata for those images there. Okay, that's an ongoing process. Like I said, right now there's only about 30,000 images over there. So ongoing basis will keep populating more and more and more and more. It's a painful job to add that amount of metadata into it. And the software is also evolving. But the way it's been designed and the way it operates right now is the search and all of these, there are no such restrictions whatsoever. That's exactly what I wanted to do. My idea was not so much to start with syllable searches. I said, look, I want to do correlation studies. If this name is figured in this place, in this inscription, in this time, whatever, I want to think of how place names evolve. Okay, all of those kind of studies, correlation studies, all of those was exactly where we wanted to do. And that's feasible now, and more of it will actually start happening in future. This is the kind of feedback also we are looking for, in addition to bugs, etc. If you can make feature requests and say, look, I would love to do this kind of thing. Since you already have the data, can you build this in? We would love to take it up and do it as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah, this one too. This is more or less like an open source project. If you have the software skills, please come. We really need, and this is it's also this one that we have the best of the software in the world being developed for all kinds of applications, not for epigraphy, not for history. Sitting out here in Bangalore, it's such tragic that we can put a instrument on the moon, but we don't have equipment or we don't have the software to do our own history heritage work. There is a huge gap between these two fields. It has to be spanned from both sides. And if you're a tech person, please jump on board. We will accept you with open arms, and we want you to kind of here.
Okay. Yeah. Gauri, over to you.
Yeah. See, what impressed me the most about your talk and your work is that you started in a particular direction of wanting to document these inscriptions, and then it has just organically evolved to encompass so much, was this vision already there when you started, or did you just develop it along the way?
No,
sheer growth of what you have achieved now down the line is amazing from where you started. So how did this growth, did it happen organically, or did you have some idea of this when you started itself?
It just happened like that. When you did something, then you saw some more needs and opportunities, and you kept building and building and building on that. That's really how almost all
I mean,
of
from
it
what could have been a very limited project, this is like all-encompassing, and really now absolutely draws the public in to be part of your whole project. Like, it is amazing.
Yeah, I
Just
think
after this one talk, everyone, I'm sure a lot of people feel motivated to jump in and be part of this wagon in some form or the other. So it is absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. I think all that has not happened is that, the talking of the two sectors, the technology sector and the epigraphy history sector, is what probably I was able to bridge. Yeah, because coming from a tech sector, I was seeing so many things happening there. Whatever I'm showing you today is not very sophisticated. Conceptually it is, but not in terms of actually doing it.
True.
Okay. Now, why is this happening now in 2024 is the question to ask. But the best part of it is we can leapfrog. Now there are students. There is a student sitting in Delhi now who's actually developing, who's using the same database for machine learning to try and read inscriptions, which is nobody in the world has even tried it now. In 1 year, we have gone from where we did not have a tool to we are talking AI and ML applications and all of that. So yeah, it's very easy to catch up, and we can do miracles if we can team up.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful talk. Yeah.
Really stretched our time here, and for giving an excellent overview. It's not just a simple digital documentation that we are able to identify errors in the earlier reading, that the errors are not just simple, largely same meaning, maybe a little spelling error kind of a thing, that it can be quite significant. Maybe as we go along and document 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 inscriptions, history may have to be rewritten in some places, or new aspects that was already there in an inscription that we didn't read, or we didn't notice because they were not correlated between perhaps an inscription in Karnataka and an inscription in Tamil Nadu, which are sort of complementary inscriptions covering the same event, right? So many more things are there in store, and that's what makes it exciting. Thank you, Udayakumar, for an outstanding, excellent, brilliant lecture on this particular topic. Very, very new for all of us. Thank you, and let's keep collaborating in some way to take this to more and more people. Thank you from Tamil Heritage Trust to you and all our viewers today. Of course, this lecture will be this video is going to be archived and is going to be available for all of you to follow immediately after this session is over. And we will meet again. We have 2 events, as Gauri pointed out. The next month, first week lecture is anyway there as it is. But there is also going to be a lecture at the end of a meeting and lecture at the end of this month. That's the THT Swaminathan Heritage Award that is going to be awarded, and there will be an award lecture that will be at the end of this month, and we will put out an email pointing out the date, time, etc. Thank you once again, all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.